open than the gap ups. They just got kind of tough. So anyway, we'll get started here. All right, good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for February 13th, 2019. Q's up 0.39, just short of 0.4 there, and then the SPY going to be up a little over 0.5%. We'll see where these close. We got exactly half an hour until the close here. The market gapped up. Remember, we were bullish coming into today. SPY had already taken out the resistance. Q's took it out today. Okay, so we were bullish coming into today after we broke the hourly uptrend, but then we're able to repair it and then move back up. The daily buy setup is what we're looking at now. Okay, so for our longer term bias, we won't lose the bullish bias until we break this daily buy setup. But today's morning selling did give us a place to look at for as far as short-term bias. So if we're talking about a core over the next hours and days, if we break today's low, right, we can look for some lower price action after that. But as far as we're talking days and weeks, you know, this is the focus here. So it really depends on your time frame there. Okay, how you want to have your bias set up. Okay, so you know right now we have a bullish bias because the short term and the long term bias are lined up, right? So it's when we have more conflict between the long term and the short term bias that is when we're often neutral. And as you saw, right, when the weekly was setting up the sell setup that never triggered, right, was when we were neutral. And then once we resolved this and got through, we were able to have a bullish bias. Okay, so right now, long-term and short-term bias both higher. The short-term bias will come into question underneath today's low. So today's low corresponds with yesterday's high, so that's what we call minor support. It's not that, you know, minor support is stronger or weaker necessarily than major support. It's that what was resistance now became support. You can see that's basically where we stopped at the previous day's high, right? And that was the resistance, and then now came back and tested. So that's all. So that's what we'll be using in the short term, just to shed the short term bullish bias. Otherwise, long term, we're looking at the daily buy setup. Okay, daily buy setup, series of lower highs there into a rising 20. Yeah, it's pretty close to a textbook buy setup there. All right, so on to today. Like I said, I only played a couple things. I thought the gap downs, well, I guess the Groupon worked early in the morning, but I didn't have a good setup on it. The Groupon. I had this as my top gap down, right? I like the shock value breaking some support, and so it did work right at the open. I know Sammy played it. I did not. I didn't really like this as an entry on the 1 minute here, so I let that go. I didn't like that it was a solid red bar. There was a chance for a breakdown here, but you can see that breakdown wouldn't have got much follow through. It was extended or it moved down a lot. So, and then pretty impressive recovery on the Groupon as far as the intraday. You can see where it is now. Recovered a lot of the intraday range there. So that was the Groupon, and then the TEVA. I actually tried to play this morning. This here's the gap on the TEVA. Gapped underneath this pivot here. Wanted to see more retracement of this uptrend, and I didn't get filled, and it wouldn't have worked. So a little bit lucky on this TEVA this morning. I liked it as a 2 minute high low here. So the 2 minute, here's your low, here's your high, break of the low, right? And it would not have worked. I definitely would have taken a full stop on this TEVA. I just didn't get filled, and I didn't leave my order out there for very long. So it ended up being just a no play there for me. So none of those were called. I didn't call the TEVA. The only thing I did call today was this IRWD. And what a heartbreaker this IRWD was, because I thought this gap was great. We got some selling with volume over the last couple of days. Then we gapped up and cleared resistance. My target one was to the top of this bar, 1530. Okay, and then my plan was if it was going to work to hold it till end of day. I thought it was a good gap. Okay, clearing resistance. Wanted to see more follow through. So here was the entry on the IRWD, was a breakout. So we got sold initially, came back up to the highs. We played this breakout here over 1465. by 14.35, so 30-cent stop. It got to 15.04, and we were looking pretty good. Market was coming in at the time, so I didn't see any reason really to just take it at just 1 R. Like I said, I was looking for closer to 15.30. That's about 2 Rs. So that's all I was looking for. It just didn't get there, came in, and then took out our stop. Okay, so the stop was underneath this right here. So it came in. It was really supposed to be under 39. Yeah, and then it came in and took out the stop there. So the IRWD just didn't work, and it didn't look like it was meant to work, but I will watch this tomorrow. Yesterday, I played the OHI, but I didn't get the timing right. Tried to play it on this move lower here as it was looking like it was going to roll over, and then went higher. But look at it today. Really nice 15-minute follow-through, right? 15-minute setup follow-through. So I'll watch the IRWD tomorrow. I think the gap is still good. And usually, if we're going to look for continuation, this is the kind of bar I want to see. Doji bar means, you know, that it didn't really resolve, more neutral of a bar. That means I can still look for a follow through higher tomorrow on the IRWD. So I'll be watching that for tomorrow. Okay, just going to carry that over, see if we get some kind of setup there. And then the other play was the LSCC, which I don't have anymore, although it is making, yeah, just made new highs there. So Sammy, this was a call from Sammy. Okay, so I don't really need to go too much into this. So the gap was good. Just it was many days up. You didn't have a lot of shock value, although you are clearing multiple areas of resistance. It kind of reminds me, I think, the GCI a few weeks ago. So yeah, look at this GCI. Okay, we played this GCI on this day. Okay, as a long. It's clearing multiple resistance levels. Although it is multiple days up into that gap, there's still, it's still professional. It's still clearing resistance, okay? More so than novice. So, you know, this kind of gap, I'm not going to be aggressive at the open because I don't think there are short-term traders really trapped in this. And that's going to be the same for the LSCC. But the LSCC did give us a pullback. And then a secondary entry. Actually, I forgot about this, that I called this initially like early on, and then so I called it here. Like as soon as we got this top here, I called it. And then I canceled it because it was a 32-cent stop with only about 20 cents to the highs. So I thought, oh, reward to risk is a problem. So I canceled it. And then I think Sammy didn't see that I had called it earlier, and then he called it as well with the same exact numbers. So, you know, usually when it gets called or played by multiple moderators in the room, that's usually a good sign that it's a good setup. Okay, so this ended up kind of making my day and making up for the IRWD, this LSCC. I did take some a little bit early as I approached the highs. And then took the rest over lunch. I think it got out around 10:40. So you can see it went all the way up to 10:70. So could have been a better play. I just was a little bit wanting to, you know, recover the IRWD because I was pretty disappointed with IRWD. I thought this was pretty good. And really, I thought this was going to work pretty well. Let's see how much this came in because... yeah, this definitely would have taken out the stop. So watch it tomorrow. IRWD, I'm going to watch it tomorrow for sure. See if we get some kind of setup. Okay? All right. So that was it. I thought for the number of good gaps that we had, that there just didn't end up being a lot of setups. So that's okay. You know, hopefully tomorrow and Friday we still have some good trading left. I thought yesterday maybe the follow through's been the best that I've seen yesterday of this week so far, but hopefully tomorrow and Friday are going to be even better. Okay, so that's going to do it for today's market wrap. We'll see what the market brings us tomorrow, and I hope you have a good evening. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.